Before watching the video, please remember to subscribe and like. It means the world to us. Corbin Hayes was an American man in his 50s. In his younger days, he worked in international sales at a major tech company, traveling across the globe. But deep down, he had always felt drawn to Persia, modern-day Iran, a land he saw as full of mystery, steeped in ancient civilization, alchemy, and the fragrances of spices. For years, though, he set aside this dream to raise a family with his wife in their suburban Chicago home. When his wife died of illness in his 50s and his children grew up and moved on with their own lives, Corbin lost his sense of purpose. His kids had their own families scattered across the country. Alone in a large, quiet townhouse in Naperville, he found no spark in his days anymore. That's when he made a bold decision to leave everything behind and move to Iran, the place that had always called to him. Many around him thought he was being reckless, but Corbin was certain. Stable Illinois life no longer moved his heart, so he chose to seek adventure in the unknown. The moment he landed in Iran, the thrill was impossible to describe. Walking out of the airport, he stepped into a world completely different, yet strangely warm. The people, even to a foreigner, offered kind smiles, cups of tea, and genuine conversation. Corbin felt in his bones this was the place he had dreamed of for so long. As he traveled around Iran, arriving at last in Yazd, he was deeply moved. The sun-baked yellow earth buildings, the ancient alleys, the domes and minarets rising against the desert backdrop made him feel as if he had stepped into another time. Is this where my new life begins? He wondered. At a local market, he stumbled on the region's spices, saffron, among others, and his old sales instincts kicked in. He realized these spices were treasured and expensive back in the States, and with Americans growing ever more fascinated by international cuisines, there was a clear opportunity. Iran's rich, diverse food culture could absolutely appeal to global markets. So Corbin decided to take the risk and start a new business. Of course, it was anything but easy. He faced language barriers, red tape, shifting exchange rates, and sometimes political challenges. Yet his decades of business experience, his sunny, gentle manner, and his determination helped him carve out a place for himself. Most Iranians only knew the U.S. through its movies, music, or tech, so when they met Corbin, they were often eager to learn more. In Yazd, Corbin made every effort to build relationships, meeting partners, chatting with market vendors, and sharing small gifts from the U.S. like Ghirardelli chocolates or boutique Seattle coffee beans. Whenever he did, people would light up with enthusiasm, saying warmly, "America is great." He would also personally brew his favorite dark roast American coffee for them, and they were very interested in its unique aroma and taste. In this way, relationships were gradually built. Corbin rented a relatively large house in the suburbs of Yazd. The house used traditional methods for regulating indoor temperature in desert regions with good ventilation. There was also a small garden in the courtyard where he could grow exotic flowers and herbs. This became his home, a foreigner's home. As his life gradually stabilized, Corbin's warm personality and sense of responsibility left a deep impression on the locals. He treated his employees very kindly and was always ready to help. In American terms, he was a stand-up guy as a boss to the locals. He was like a gentle father figure. Consequently, he often attracted the attention of women. Some young local women who associated Corbin with the charming and considerate male leads in American romantic comedies and TV dramas expressed their affection for him. But Corbin always responded to these advances with humility. He felt he wasn't ready to love again. The memory of his wife's passing still occupied a deep part of his heart, and the loneliness after his children moved far away had not fully healed. However, fate intervened in an unexpected way. At a Chinese restaurant in Yazd, sought out for a taste of familiarity in a foreign land, he chanced upon an opportunity to dine with 4 young women. These women appeared to be in their early 20s with the deep-set features and calm demeanor, characteristic of Middle Eastern people. Their common interest was American pop music and movies, and Corbin, being an American businessman, became the starting point of their conversation before they knew it. It was late at night, but their conversation was far from over. As time went on, they made no secret of their interest in Corbin, asking him one after another, "Are you married? Where's your family?" Corbin honestly told them that he had lost his wife and his children were independent, The women expressed their sincere condolences and at the same time looked at him as if he were a sophisticated hero from one of their favorite films. A few weeks later, Corbin's business began to pick up. He met these women again on another occasion in the local bazaar. Corbin was actively searching for trade-related goods. He saw one of the women haggling with a shopkeeper and went over to help her. From then on, the women frequently contacted Corbin as if he was their go-to person for help. They also often gathered together. These women were close. They were actually cousins who had grown up together. They were all born near Yazd, and because their parents liked American pop culture, the children naturally developed an interest in the United States. They had even self-studied English online and managed to learn enough for basic conversation over time. A subtle affection began to blossom between Corbin and the four women. Initially, it was just an interesting friendship and curiosity. However, Corbin was greatly shocked when one of the women asked him, "In America, can a man not love multiple women at the same time?" The women said they had seen many love stories in movies and TV shows, and even if it wasn't polygamy, they wondered why a man could only be with one woman. Of course, Iranian law also did not permit having multiple wives, but the women told him they wished to cherish each other spiritually and live together, not just have a wedding ceremony. Corbin, of course, flatly refused, but his heart began to waver. He realized they weren't just dreaming of fairy tale love from dramas, but genuinely yearned for the meaning of family in real life. Nevertheless, he refused. He worried about criticism, cultural differences, and most importantly, the women's future. "And I am old, and you are still young. This is not advantageous for you." He said this sincerely, trying to control his wavering heart. But fate intervened unexpectedly again. Near Yazd, there was a notorious minority rebel group that frequently carried out terrorist activities. One day they attacked a nearby village using bombs to throw it into panic. At that time, Corbin was also out. He heard gunshots and, thinking he had to protect the women, rushed over. Fortunately, the women were not in direct danger, but the entire village was under threat. Corbin, with his characteristic calmness and courage, collaborated with several locals to safely move the women to his home. His house, located in the heart of the desert, was relatively inaccessible and sturdily built, making it suitable as a shelter. As night fell, sporadic gunshots could be heard, and the villagers were terrified. Corbin was also scared, but he knew that besides him, there might be no one else to protect these women. This sense of responsibility sustained him. The women wrapped in blankets he had provided huddled together, enduring their fear. After the terrible night passed with the support of the military and police, the terrorists retreated and the village finally regained stability. That very night, the women in tears pleaded with Corbin again. "We cannot leave you. We were protected and survived. Thanks to you, we want to be with you forever." Corbin was torn despite cultural differences and legal issues. Most importantly, he couldn't ignore his feelings in the face of extreme danger. He truly realized that these women had become a very important part of his life, and he himself had opened his heart to them. Thus, he finally made up his mind. All right, but for us to not hurt each other because of this relationship, we must respect and be considerate of one another. If we want to live as a family, we must bear more responsibility. Then they held a simple informal ceremony. Although legally it couldn't be called a marriage, they tied small red string bracelets on each other's hands instead of rings and declared, "We are a family." The four women called out their names, shedding tears of joy, and Corbin silently and gently embraced them. And so the family life of five hearts beating as one began. But this path was destined not to be smooth. Initially, they faced judgmental looks from those around them, and occasional small jealousies and misunderstandings arose among the four women. But Corbin, while steadily developing his business, also strove to show fair and sincere love within the family. On the other hand, the four women understood each other and actively helped Corbin with the daily affairs. The woman who loved cooking took charge of the meals, and the one skilled in accounting helped with business documents. They laughed together, talked together, sometimes argued, but quickly made up. As time went by, surprisingly, all four women became pregnant. When Corbin heard this news, he was moved to tears. He was already advanced in age, and now to become a father again was like a dream. The women also couldn't hide their joy. They believed that if they had babies of mixed American and Iranian heritage, it would be a precious symbol connecting the two cultures. Pregnancies and births followed one after another, and his house was instantly filled with the cries of babies. The four children had distinct personalities and astonishingly beautiful features. The women helped each other care for the children, steadfastly supporting their husband Corbin, while playing the role of an elderly father. Corbin also keenly recognized the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. His business was now quite stable, having open channels for exporting various Middle Eastern ingredients and spices to the United States. He occasionally returned to the U.S. for business, but now the spacious house in Yaz felt like his true home. The care from his wives, or rather partners, and the bright smiles of his children made him truly feel the family warmth he had always longed for. People around them were initially surprised, sometimes even critical, but seeing Corbin helping poor neighbors, donating to the village, and contributing to local society, they gradually opened their hearts, and moreover, the way the four women shared friendship instead of jealousy and cared for this large family was touching. Time flew and the children gradually grew up. Corbin made sure they learned both English and Persian, growing up in a unique environment, blending American and Iranian cultures. The children quickly mastered both languages, playing American folk tunes on Arabic instruments and blending Iranian traditional dances with American popular music, seemingly creating a new culture. Corbin suddenly thought that he had never imagined receiving such a special gift in the latter half of his life. He sincerely hoped for the continued happiness of these women in the future. Therefore, he saved a portion of his business profits in their names so that even if his health deteriorated, they could live stable lives. He also strived to give back his achievements to the village of Yazd and Iranian society. If a region was attacked by rebels, he would send relief supplies, and as the children grew older, he would participate in volunteer activities with them. Our family, bound by love, should also share with those outside, was his belief. Initially, the women felt apologetic for Corbin's efforts on their behalf, but they were also very aware of the deep comfort and love they received from him. During festivals, they would wear traditional clothes and celebrate with Corbin on the children's birthdays. They would prepare special dishes and hold family parties that the children could grow up healthily in what could have been a chaotic environment was perhaps due to the deep friendship and care of the four mothers. As the children grew older, they showed even more distinct personalities. The first child was gifted in music and played various traditional instruments as well as the guitar. The second loved sports and excelled at soccer. The third enjoyed painting and was skilled in creating murals. The fourth loved learning and delved into languages and history. Though they seemed to be on different paths, they shared a common dream to become a bridge connecting the United States and Iran. Corbin hoped that these children, whether they returned to the U.S., stayed in Iran, or developed in any other country, could grow to their fullest potential. There might be difficulties, there might be family disputes, but at the same time you will have a broader worldview, he would say, encouraging his children to freely pursue their dreams. Crises did not completely disappear from their lives. Small-scale rebel attacks recurred, and due to changes in the political situation, both within and outside Iran, economic sanctions intensified, nearly plunging the business into crisis. But whenever this happened, Corbin and the four women would put their heads together and discuss countermeasures. Because it was not the strength of one person, but the wisdom of five, they could always find a new breakthrough. Sometimes acquaintances or relatives from Illinois visiting, Yaz would be astonished. What on earth is going on? What a big family. Initially they couldn't understand. But when Corbin honestly shared his story and showed them his life with his family, they felt a strange persuasiveness and warmth. Their family story also spread to other nearby villages and cities. Some said that love could conquer all and viewed them positively, but others criticized it as a culturally and religiously inappropriate example. Corbin accepted these criticisms and admitted that he was not married in a legally or religiously perfect form. But he also said, "What's important is that we respect each other and live happily. I don't want these women to be oppressed or sacrificed, and on the contrary, they actively chose me." Years passed and the children reached adolescence. New problems arose during this period. When the children went to school, they faced ridicule and prejudice. Why does your dad have four moms? But Corbin had always stood by his children, saying, everyone has their own circumstances and different choices, but if in the process one can fulfill true love and responsibility, then there is nothing to be ashamed of. Perhaps because of his teachings, the children accepted their surroundings relatively calmly. On the contrary, most of their friends would jokingly express envy. "I think your dad is really amazing." My dad and one mom always argue, but your dad manages to keep four moms in harmony. Family time was always precious. In the evenings, they would gather in the courtyard drinking tea and chatting. American comfort food and Iranian traditional food naturally blended with dishes like BBQ, pulled pork sliders placed next to kesh or dried dates, creating an exotic combination on the dining table. The women would occasionally mimic imperfect English, calling Corbin honey or my love, while Corbin would give them tender Persian nicknames like Light of My Life or Flower. As the children grew into adults and entered society, their existence began to serve as a bridge connecting the United States and Iran. Some children studied in the U.S. or interacted with American youth online, introducing Iranian culture. Others participated in projects in Iran, collaborating with American companies, acting as interpreters in this process. Corbin, once merely a stranger in a foreign land, had now become a member of the local community, and his entire family was beloved by the locals, which felt particularly heartwarming. Corbin gradually aged, and his wives were now past 30, entering their late 30s, reaching a new stage in life. Their trust in each other deepened, and they found a sense of stability. The wives said, "Without Corbin, we couldn't live so openly." Corbin replied, "Perhaps without me, you would live more freely." They laughed and answered, "We chose this ourselves, no one forced us, so this is the life we created together." Thus, as time went by, the family's reputation gradually spread, and the village, once threatened by terrorism, transformed into a peaceful area frequented by tourists. Corbin would occasionally act as a guide, introducing American culture when tourists visited his home and asked, "Do you really have four wives?" He would vaguely reply, "Though not officially recognized, our family is connected by a special kind of love." After this long story, tourists would be moved by the harmonious atmosphere of the family. Even if misunderstandings existed, human warmth and sincere responsibility could transcend barriers of language and culture. Corbin walked into the courtyard today, looked up at the sky and thought, "Is all this really real that I, after my 50s, received the most special gift this world could offer?" Just then, one of his wives came over and asked, "What should we have for dinner?" "Dear," he smiled and replied, "let's make it together. Don't always let you all do the hard work. I'll help too." At that moment, the children also swarmed out, muttering in a mix of English and Persian, then nodded in agreement, and the whole family headed to the kitchen amidst the aroma of cooking American-style barbecue. The scent of traditional Iranian spices faintly wafted, filled with warm laughter. In this way, this family connected different cultures and language differences with love and trust. Living together, their story moved those around them, brought the two countries closer, and proved that the word family can sometimes transcend formal institutions and possess powerful strength. Corbin's sense of responsibility and sincere character, the four women's strength and friendship with each other, and the children's innocent laughter all merged to create a huge resonance. Today, the sun shines brightly in the courtyard, and sometimes clouds gather, but this special love story of five people will continue. The mixed heritage children connecting the United States and Iran build bridges to the future. And this family also extends a helping hand to poor neighbors in Iran and disadvantaged groups in the United States. This special family, transcending cultural and legal boundaries, achieves happiness in their own way with the world's warmest leadership. Finally, Corbin said to himself, life doesn't go according to plan, but as long as you gather the courage to make choices that make your heart race and take responsibility for those choices to the end, life will unknowingly become a beautiful gift." Time flowed on, and Corbin and his family welcomed another season. Having experienced the turbulent years of the past, they now live peacefully and hopefully with their children, each embarking on their own life paths. Some children, to inherit their father's legacy, threw themselves into the spice trade business in Yazd, voluntarily acting as a bridge between the United States and Iran, innovating the company with new ideas and a youthful perspective. Others seized the long-dreamed of opportunity to study at a university in the United States, applying for exchange programs and preparing for the future by studying culture, language, and art at a prestigious university in Chicago. The other children, raised with a blend of both countries' traditions and modernity, actively participated in cultural exchange activities between the United States and Iran as scholars of both cultures, broadening new horizons. Although the paths the children chose were different, none forgot the family values of connection through love and the warm character their father Corbin exemplified. The family story became an invisible bond, supporting each other in their respective fields, sometimes becoming a source of strength when facing harsh realities, and at other times instilling courage to face new challenges. Those who returned from studying in the United States combined Yazid's traditional trading methods with modern technology, bringing innovation and product quality improvement in overseas marketing. And those children deeply rooted in Iran took the lead in local community development, playing important roles in education and welfare. Everyone achieved dazzling accomplishments on their own paths, but deep in their hearts they always kept the word family in mind. Regular family gatherings were always filled with growing gratitude. Even amidst a busy year, family members would greet each other, meeting directly or connecting online to share life's difficulties and joys continuing. Precious conversations, even in the reality of using different countries and different languages, their resonance transcending American and Iranian cultures, and their warm family remained strong. In this sense, one of the most memorable moments was when Corbin and his 4 wives traveled to the Florida Keys. For a long time, everyone had been busy in their own fields, and unknowingly, they began to need time to relax and comfort each other. The Florida Keys, clear waters, blue skies, and unique natural scenery brought them new emotions and excitement. Walking along the coastline of Key West, they recalled childhood memories and shared their past of being united as a family, despite different cultures and backgrounds. On the first day of the trip, Corbin proposed that the whole family watch the sunrise together, driving along the overseas highway. They felt the whole family merge as one in the Keys, cool morning breeze reaching a quiet beach. They watched the red sun slowly rise from the horizon, gazing at each other excitedly, sharing how much this moment meant to their lives during their stay in a small guest house in Islamabad. The 4 wives also candidly shared their past experiences and future dreams, although they had different personalities and hobbies. Their understanding and consideration for each other as family members remained unchanged. Drinking hot coffee together in a seaside cafe and sharing dishes made with fresh local seafood, they once again felt the power of the word we. Corbin expressed his gratitude to one wife, saying, "Because of you, I am full of strength today," while another wife smiled and said, "Thanks to all of us supporting each other, we are where we are today." During the trip, the whole family visited many famous scenic spots in the Keys, experiencing nature and history up close. Walking in Bahia Honda State Park, they marveled at the distant sea and the sunlight dappling through the palm trees, taking photos, hand in hand with the children. The scars and misunderstandings that once separated them between 2 cultures gradually melted away, here replaced by new hope and anticipation for the future. The hardships and adversities everyone had experienced in their lives converged to form a firm belief as a family, a feeling that seemed to be conveyed along with the Keys, fresh air and sea breeze. Corbin and his 4 wives, along with their beloved family, reaffirmed the precious value of life and their deep trust in each other through the Florida Keys trip, while accumulating unforgettable memories in their busy daily lives. They promised to always reunite, laugh, and talk as a family, no matter what different futures lay ahead. This trip was not just a simple rest, but more of a promise to always meet again. Even if they walked different paths in the future, on the last day of the trip, on a Key West beach at sunset, Corbin looked at his whole family and said softly, "No matter where our destiny began, as long as we walk together like this a moment, we will not be afraid of any path in the future." Hearing this, the 4 wives and all the children had moist eyes, nodded, and held each other's hands tightly, promising to be together in the future. Thus, the children leading different lives and the family that had spent long years together harboring dreams and hopes for each other became each other's solid support, their appearance like a scroll where the cultures and histories of 2 countries harmoniously intertwined under the Florida Keys' warm sunshine. They once again inscribed the meaning of family in their hearts, ready to welcome the countless challenges and joys that lay ahead, and their steps were always filled with love and trust and hope for a new tomorrow. If this video was helpful to you, please subscribe, like, and comment.